Hello, this is Jesse Rodriguez Melendez from All Bases Covered, and welcome to Spanglish World Networks on Zingle TV channels 249, 250, and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingle TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Zingle TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Welcome to All Bases Covered. This is going to be a super exciting show tonight. I have had a crazy week. I don't know who else has experienced the type of week we're having. The Northeast has seen some wild weather. And we're working on some really exciting things, including our Armored Athlete apparel line. It is a scripture-inspired line for athletes. And also, Coach Tony will be launching a new product. So we've been super busy here in our world. And so tonight, I am so privileged to bring on one of my sports coaching clients. I worked with her for about 3 or 4 months, and she does something that's very unique. And I was so thrilled to be working with someone who was doing something so special. She's based out of New York City, and she is known as the Bike Whisperer. So please help me welcome Andree Sanders to the show tonight. Andree, thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I'm so
Hi.
thrilled to have you here for so many reasons. And so I wanted to just let you introduce yourself, tell us what you do, where you do it, and why you started doing it.
So it's sort of a longer story than that, but so I learned how I started teaching Learn to Ride about 10 years ago. I've been running a nonprofit teaching kids how to mountain bike, and I ran into a kid who didn't know how to bike. And all of a sudden, at one point in time, I taught him how to ride a bike, but he was not able to ride the trail that day. But what I learned is that I was really passionate about this skill, and I've taken it to teaching thousands of people how to ride a bike. And it's like giving people a superpower. And I love it because I'm changing the world one rider at a time. It doesn't matter how old you are. I've teach as young as 3, if I've teach as old as 80. And it's all about just sort of embracing the flow and the freedom of riding a bike.
And when exactly did you start your business?
So I kind of started it by mistake because I was running a nonprofit with Trips for Kids
And how
I've
long
been doing
ago?
that since 2001,
2001. Okay.
and I became executive director in 2006. And then around like in around 13, I started teaching Learn to Ride. And it was just sort of like an additional thing. And I just sort of like did it on the side. And but what I loved about it is that I really love teaching this one skill. It's like sort of giving superpowers to people.
And so generally what will happen, someone will call you and they'll say, hey, I want to learn how to ride a bike. And then what happens? What would be the next step?
So I asked them a whole bunch of questions. Have they ever tried it before? Do they how tall are they? Where do they want to learn? I mean, I like teaching on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I have this really great space. I have a bike shop that I work with. And it's about sort of like finding how I can relate to them to sort of find their inner learning how to ride a bike is there's like I have it down to like a 5-step process. But the
Mm.
first step is like you have to go into your brain and find your like your I'm sorry. You have to find your bike balance button and punch it in. And so to find that you have to like be able to explore and like be mind over head over shoulders over hips and mind over body mentality. And
Yeah,
so
we
it's
did
just
discuss some of that. I find that fascinating. I love the way you connect the brain itself to the impact that it can create overall on the body when sick.
Well, I mean, it's all, I mean, my philosophy is about it's 20% muscle memory and 80% brain chemistry, because it's really about your amygdala and your frontal cortex and how those chemicals react. And it's if you have a really strong amygdala, it's harder for you to ride a bike because the amygdala releases this chemical called cortisol.
Right.
And so your shoulders go up, you get all tight, you're like, oh, I'm not gonna let go. But your frontal cortex, where we have our presentness, our the foundations of our muscle memory, our foundation of our language, the foundation of our endorphins, we're able to release like chemicals to smother the amygdala with love and chemicals to relax it so that you
Mm-hmm.
can work you can be balanced and just take a breath and inhale and then exhale. And as you exhale, you can glide.
And here's, I mean, you're speaking my language here as a brain trainer. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I'm just so fascinated with. And I think with athletes, or in your case, with folks that are coming to you, that feeling of freedom, like you spoke about, when they're actually, once they've learned to ride a bike, and it's something so personal because now they're in their own space and they're doing
Hmm.
something that feels very liberating. It also creates in the hippocampus a memory, and
Yes.
each time they're able to access that memory, it releases the happy hormones and then creates a better mood. It creates a better outcome in their lives. I mean, it's just so wonderful. Um, and so I still remember the very first time that we connected, and you were referred to me by another one of my clients and a very dear friend. And
Tracy. Yes, absolutely.
Tracy, who we absolutely adore,
We
who
love
runs
her. Yep.
amazing, amazing
Hot
volleyball
volleyball.
in New York City. And Tracy, I know, how did the conversation come about? Because I'd love to sort of get that picture.
So we worked in the very similar spaces. She was in so I work in Riverside Park in front of a restaurant. It's got a sand pit. Tracy was doing volleyball in one area and I was doing biking. And I saw what she was doing. And I was just like, I went up to her and I'm like, you're doing what I'm doing. I love it. Can we talk?
Mm.
And so we started chatting, we started a friendship. And she goes, oh my God, I've started this. You have to meet this woman, Jessie, because she has taken my business and exploded it. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not so sure because I work very alone and I'm sort of nervous and I don't share well. And but she's like, no, you got to meet Jessie. So I'm like, okay. And so I reached out to you, and it happened right when I broke my wrist, which
Right.
was which was sort of
Remember.
like perfect because I really couldn't do anything else because I was injured. And
Right.
so I had to refocus on my business and not my physical self. And so I reached out to you, and it was amazing the way that you taught me how to automate my business, how to think about my business, how to structure my, like you taught me so many things that I hadn't even thought about because I wasn't really thinking about my teaching as a business. I mean, I was
Right.
doing it, but it wasn't, I just sort of did it on the fly. It's like, okay, fine, I'll go teach people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's automated and I'm, you know, it's
There's a
it's a
system.
it's a system. There
There's
it's systematic. I have have history. I'm like now I just set up one thing I was having challenges with is how do I keep track of all my clients and knowing who repeats and how many lessons and what's the story behind them. And like I just today I had a woman come back and I'm like, oh my God, like who is she? But it's like I see her and like, oh, I get it, but I didn't have I don't have a system.
Mm.
So I'm like figuring out the new systems of. So it's all about creating systems and being on top of how do you track the income? How do you reach out? How do
Right.
you make new programs? How do you like MailChimp. You taught me all about MailChimp and how MailChimp can, I can send one email out, all customers, which is now really getting large, and send them a message. I want to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And
Yeah. And here's what I love about when I worked with you. I found that your work was so authentic to you, and you were really doing it from a place of real passion. And
yes,
I knew that you certainly could take that passion and turn it into a very lucrative paycheck. And I think that with a lot of athletic coaches or sports coaches, that's where they sort of that's where they're challenged, because they're looking at it from like, I love what I do and I just want to help others and I just want to teach others. But once you do have a system and processes to build an actual business, now you're talking about, it's not just taking your passion and turning it into a paycheck, is now you're leaving a legacy. Now
yes,
you're building a business that leaves a legacy, one that you can certainly hand down to the next generation. And that's
or
what I love about sports. And that's what I love about working with sports coaches. It's that we get to impact our communities, impact, the player, impact the family, because as an athlete gets better, I used to love that about our baseball facility. When we used to watch kids get better, parents were just gleaming as well, because anything that they watch their kids excel at, they're super excited. In your case, I love the fact that you don't really have age limits, right? You can start them as young as you want and they can go as long as they want.
right.
And
The
I
youngest
love
has been youngest has been 2.5. The oldest has been 80.
And so, since we've worked together, tell me a little bit about what you have been able to. So, what was the best part of us working together? Let me ask that.
Automation of how I schedule the people, having having a calendar, and having someone. So I have a set email, and then I have a calendar that, and then I have, so someone reaches out to me on my email, coach at bikewhisperer.com
Right.
.nyc. So someone reaches out to me, and then I have a set email that I sent to them with a calendar and a question, a Google document to sort
Yep.
of get to know them. And
Right.
then once the calendar is set, an automatic email goes to them and tells them where are we going to meet, how much is it going to cost, what's the deal, what do they need to bring, you know, what's the temperature, if it's cold, if it's hot. Like I have different ones for different times of year, but it's about the automation because I'm able to just copy and paste and just boom, boom, boom. And then what's even better, when when they send a confirmation back, they'll send them a secondary email of all they need. And that has made such a huge difference that I the only times I make a mistake is when I have Fridays and Saturdays when I do my rain dates and I have to schedule myself. And that's when the double bookings happen. I have not had any trouble since then. And I love that about it because everything's just laid out for everyone. It's nice and straightforward.
And so with you, we really helped you brand the business. I remember we started really like from the basics. It's like, let's create a logo that really speaks to who you are and
Mm-hmm.
what your message is. And we really like then built out your website, and we really started building out, like you said, your automated systems. Um, what has been the increase? You don't have to share numbers, but what kind of increase have you seen since then?
I'm pretty much working full time Monday through Thursday. I have 3 to 4 clients a day.
Nice.
From I mean, even in the winter, I was very consistent, but for like just like talk about this week, I was booked solid 3 to 4 days, and then the next 6 weeks I'm booked.
I love
I
it.
it's just it's consistent. People can see it. They can choose their times. I can choose my times and I can block off times when I know like I don't want to work too much because sometimes you get when you're a physical coach, it's challenging. So there's
Absolutely.
times that you need a little bit like in the summer when it's you know, um,
Super hot.
when it's really super hot, like the other day at 90 degrees, it was kind of challenging.
Mm.
I had to like back off. I had to actually like cancel a client because it was literally too hot. But I was able to do that because it was automated. But the key thing is that my business has increased. I mean, it's it's pretty much a full-time business.
I love it. That's so
Yeah.
great.
And I love it. I mean, it's really fabulous.
And so what I do with specifically with sports coaches like yourself, and I look at the model and how we can expand it, grow it, build on it, scale it, right? Duplicate who you are in your business so that at some point you and Eugene could go and live a beautiful life in Spain and have your business still run for you. Um, what has been so, and I know we worked on several programs for you, but you're mostly one-on-one. Is it a one-on-one kind of thing,
It's
right?
95% one-on-one. Yeah.
What, 90? Okay.
Yeah.
And um, we specifically spoke about potential program that I think is just going to massively explode for you, what you do. Do you want to talk a little bit about it and sort of give a little insight tip, secret to what we've been talking about?
Yeah. So you're talking about my sleepaway? My
Yes.
yes. So like
Retreats.
my workshop.
Yep.
Yes. So hopefully in October in upstate New York, I want to do a women's program. It's women specific of biking from, and it's going to be a little bit more advanced as you have to know how to ride a bike, but it's going to be all about empowerment of women cyclists and um, and health and natural and
Yeah. Holistic approach.
holistic healthy lifestyle.
I love that. Why did you decide to make it only for women? I know the empowerment part, but why also did you decide I just want to focus on women for this?
Well, because we don't do enough for each us for ourselves.
I love it.
Period. We always take care of everyone else. And so to have a day off or a weekend off where we just build ourselves and empower ourselves is the right thing to do. And I mean, there's times where it can be with men as well, but this one, just for my start off, it's all about more gals on bikes.
I
It's
love
empowerment, and it's about, really what does being on that bike do for you as a woman? Because or even any woman in sports, like, but for me it's cycling. But how do you take that and translate it to the rest of your life, your day-to-day stuff, doing the laundry and picking up the kids and figuring out the college education and all of that. And so it's really about just building friendships and building yourself and empowering yourself.
I love it. And so if you would allow me just to say a little bit of how we came to have that conversation.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
So I remember you calling me and you said, I have some of these months that are just really, it's a quieter time for me. And I immediately said, well, why not do some retreats? Why not do something where we're stepping out the box and we're really thinking about how you can best utilize your talents to create an experience, right? It's not just
Mhm.
learning how to bike, you're creating a bike like experience out of it. And I loved how your voice shifted. It was like, oh my gosh, it's like a light bulb went off and you're like,
It was like,
and,
what?
uh-huh. And
It
then
really was.
I can hear in your voice the excitement and I could tell that the wheels had started to spin. And I said, that makes my work so worth it. Like I feel so empowered by hearing you guys, my clients, get that type of motivation, get that type of aha moment where it's like, oh my gosh, yes. And then it's amazing to me how just one conversation can totally lead to you developing a whole new program, potentially taking it worldwide. I mean, this doesn't have to be just a New York thing. This can be an anywhere thing. That's the other thing I love about what you do and bikes and sports in general. That's what I love about being in the athletic space, is that we can take what we do and we literally could do it anywhere. Like now, Tony and I are going to be going to Spain, and we're going to be running a program in Spain, and we're going to be running a program in the Bahamas. And so this is the type of thing that lights my fire. And so that day when we had that conversation and I could literally hear your wheels turning, I said, oh my gosh. And the fact that you now have decided to do this, specifically for women, was just so dear to my heart, because I'm with you on the fact that we as women certainly don't do enough for ourselves. And more so, I find when you're an athletic coach, or a sports coach in any way, because suddenly it's like we're made to feel like, well, you have to be rough and tough if you want to be in sports. But that's not true. We could
That's
still
so not true.
maintain
Right.
our femininity. We can still, have go have girl time, and really make it, like we're saying, an experience. So what would be some of the things that you, without giving a lot of your secrets away, but what would be some of the things that some of your participants can expect to experience at something like that?
Well, so my the way that I'm envisioning it's going to be a 3 to 4 day program. We'll we'll figure out the biking aspect, but I'm gonna partner with a woman who is a she works for Arbonne. I don't know if you're familiar
Yes.
with that
Yep.
product. So
Yep.
she's going to partner, and she was going to bring the nutrition and like the beautiful like lotions and all of that stuff. And then I'm going to have the other partner is a Pilates instructor. So it's
Love.
going to be about self-care, um, self-strengthening, empowering yourself, and exploring and pushing yourself, because the biking will be pushing, because it's going to happen. And I believe I think where it's going to happen, it's going to be in Massachusetts, up in the like the Berkshires.
Love
And
it. Yes, I
it's going to be hilly, and it's going to be hard riding. And
my favorite
so
thing.
you're going to ride 50 to 100 miles. You're going to, so it's going to be self-care, self-pushing, empowerment.
And so for someone like that, I know you said that they should know how to ride a bike. Will they need to bring their own equipment, or will, like,
Haven't gotten that detailed yet.
Okay.
If I work it out well, I might have some extra bikes, but in general, they should, because if you ride, you want to ride what you're comfortable in riding.
Hmm.
But I'd like to have some backup, just in case. I don't want to close it off for people who don't have that option.
And so for anyone that may be watching, this part to this is, I want to say to all sports entrepreneurs or leaders out there, especially women. I'm going to speak specifically to the women right now. For those women that are teaching any kind of sport, or involved in athletics in any way, it's so important that we remember ourselves first too. It's very important, because we can't give from an empty vessel. And especially if you're going to be working with children, it's so important that you go out there and empower yourself, and make sure that you're coming with the right mindset. Make sure that you're coming with a place where you feel good about yourself too.
I like to
It's
call that a happy heart.
with a happy heart, yes. And with all those good, all those good,
Happy heart and full lungs.
yep, and all those good chemicals that we can, produce for ourselves from our brain. Very important. And so, let's say, I know one time you shared with me that you had someone who was of an interesting age, a woman. What is the oldest age you've ever taught someone to ride a bike?
80.
80. And
80.
was it the first time she was riding?
No, she had ridden before, but when she was 60, she had an incident, and it stopped her. I don't know what the incident was. She didn't really share that with me. And so she decided that she wanted to try to ride again. And so we worked together. It took a couple of sessions, and and she's riding. As far as I know, she's up in Westchester. She's got 2 bikes, one for her city riding and one for her country riding. And she's
I love.
riding. She hit
And,
Central Park and,
and you also run a program specifically for kids, is that correct? In the
yes, it's
city?
called Trips for Kids, Metro New
Yeah,
York. Yeah. Trips for
talk
Kids
to
is
us
a
about that.
Yeah, so Trips for Kids is a national organization. I run the New York chapter, and it's teaching life lessons through mountain biking. And it's basically showing that using the bike as a tool um, to overcome obstacles in life.
I love it.
So when you mountain bike, you going over roots and rocks and logs, and you have to have the vision to go forward and trust that you have to trust your gut that you're gonna make it over those logs. And it's
Mm.
all about teaching gut instinct and trusting yourself. And I've been running it I became executive director in 2006, and I've taken thousands of kids riding, and we now have multiple programs. And one of my nicest programs that I'm just about to finish up the next season with is where my advanced program is a mountain bike racing team from middle school and high school through an organization called NICA. And it teaches kids, like, really, if you want to get more advanced and you want to push yourself, then we can go and race. And so we train them to race and how to set their goals. And racing's not about winning, it's about setting your goals and figuring out how far you want to go, and teaching these kids that whatever they want to do is acceptable, and just have fun on a bike.
I love it. I love that. So,
And it's like, that's why New York cranks.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
my team.
I love it. I love it. Um, so with COVID, and now, we're sort of coming out of the whole COVID situation. What could biking do for someone that has experienced extreme loneliness? So many of us experience a lot of loneliness through COVID, and separation anxieties and all kind of crazy, the things that we're all trying to still overcome. Many are still trying to overcome. How can getting on a bike help with something like that?
Well, the beautiful thing about being on a bike is you're outside. So your chance of being exposed to COVID is really minimized because
Mm.
you naturally are 6 feet apart, and
Right,
you're not sharing that same air because it's
right.
all separate. By being on a bike, it just, I don't know anyone who's ever gotten on a bike. You can get on a bike in a bad mood, but when you get off the bike, you're happy because you're just 100% present.
Mm,
You have to be, it's like driving a car, sort of, but it's better because you're outside, and you are the controller. And when you're on a bike, you're outside, you're bringing fresh air, you're using your heart, you're using your muscles, and you get off and you just feel awesome. You're just always smiling. And with the whole COVID, you're allowed to have a better community because people can bike together without risking being sick.
right.
You're pushing yourself physically, and you're, I don't know what else, but you're pushing yourself.
Well, and I would assume too, being out in nature, right? Because most of the time, if you're riding a bike, unless you're like in New York City where it's extremely stressful being in all the traffic. But I would assume that if you're out in nature riding a bike, that's got to be extremely
Absolutely,
soothing.
absolutely. It's
You're
just like
listening
you
to,
can stop and smell, just stop
right,
and absorb.
take it
And
all in.
I'm going to say, because I am a New Yorker, there's 1,700 miles of bike paths in New York City.
Mm,
500 of them are already protected bike paths, and so it's really not as stressful as you think. It's not like in the 80s when you rode up Sixth Avenue and it was taking your life in your own hands.
right.
Riding in New York City is really incredible these days, I have to say.
So, what are some of the greatest parts to ride in New York City?
So there's all these greenways. So I love the West Side Highway Greenway, which goes from the Little Red Lighthouse all the way down around the city up to about 23rd Street, one of my favorite rides. And then if I want to change that, I can go across the Williamsburg Bridge. I can hit Brooklyn and then go over the, what is it? There's a small bridge. I forget the name of it. And then you go to Queens and you ride across Queens and you come back over the 59th Street Bridge. And then you go across, you cross 72nd Street through Central Park. And then you go up through the park and come back around. If you like, another one of my favorite rides is I'll just go up Riverside Drive on the Greenway,
That's
up by
beautiful.
the lighthouse. I'll go up and I'll go up to the Bronx. I'll hit Dykeman. I'll cross Dykeman and then I'll come down on Harlem River. I mean, there's really amazing rides. If I want to get off-road, I will take my mountain bike. I will hit Queens. There's 10.5 miles of single track in Cunningham Park. There's 5 miles in Manhattan itself in Highbridge Park. There's, I think, 3 miles in Staten Island. So there's lots of great options in this city to ride.
And so what are some of the safety measures you highly suggest when someone's going to ride a bike?
Oh, okay. Well, first thing is wear a helmet, always. By wearing a helmet, so New York State law says 14 and younger must wear a helmet. But by wearing a helmet, you reduce your chance of head injury by like over 70%. Because you just, you have one noggin. You want to wear gloves so that if you do fall, your hands are protected. You want to wear eye protection and make sure that you stay hydrated. Lots of water. Drink lots of water, and then have nutrition, be it a peanut butter bar or a snack of some kind, but high protein nutrition is really important.
And I will tell you this from firsthand experience, not all bikes are made the same. Not all bikes are equal.
No.
I think I called you one day. My fanny was hurting so bad because I got on a bike and the seat, what is it with bike seats? And you made a recommendation. So talk to us about the bike seat and how do we make it more comfortable?
All right. Well, I can only speak for women, but I think men in general as well. We think that a larger seat would be more comfortable. In reality, a smaller seat is better because it allows your sits bones to sit on the seat properly so that you're not smushing your privates.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so, so smaller is better.
And how about bike pants? Like those padded?
Well, depending on how much you want to ride. If you want to ride a lot, you want to have padded shorts. You want to get some kind of padding, the chamois, so that you stay protected. When we first start to ride, we ride heavy in our front of our hips. And so we kind of, it gets very uncomfortable.
Okay.
But once we start riding, once you become a sort of a stronger cyclist, you lift your hips more. And if you have chamois on, you bring everything up more. And so it's not as uncomfortable.
And so someone who's starting out, let's say someone really wants to get into biking, what would be a good, let's say, standard bike to get? Because you get really fancy. I've seen bikes that are in the thousands of dollars that come with those shoes that lock into the pedal, and I mean they look. So, what do you suggest?
So, I'm a big fan of hybrids. When you want to buy a bike, there is an investment that you want to go into. If you buy a cheap bike, they're heavier and you have to carry all that weight up the hill with you when you pedal. And the components may not be as good. So I like sort of like a mid-range bike. I like aluminum frames. I do like with rapid fire. I'm a big gear fan. I believe in gears because you as a rider, you want to stay consistent. You want your energy always to be level and the bike to come up and down as you change terrains so that you can keep your endurance stable. So you're not like going really fast and then like, right? Yeah. So it's not all this. It's not intervals. You want the bike to come to you. So you want to think about what kind of bike will do that for you. So you want to make sure that you have gears. You want to make sure it's somewhat lightweight and make it aluminum. And if you have the budget, even carbon. Um, the pedals, you don't have to have clip-ins or clipless, right? You can just be flats. And but gears are your friends, and you want to, and you, I think as a beginner, you want to be more upright than aggressive and like a drop frame, like a road bike that has those downward handlebars. You want to be more upright, and a hybrid will do that. And every brand does that. Specialized does it. I love the Specialized series. There's the Trek, there's Cannondale, like there's Fuji, they all make a really nice sort of a fitness bike, which I think is sort of like when I recommend bikes, I tell everyone to go to that fitness category versus the beginner category, just because you're going to invest in what you purchase, and you want it to be lighter and easier than you think.
Right. Awesome. And so, why would someone want a bike coach? Or why does someone need a bike coach?
Well, my specialty is learn to ride and people who don't know how to ride. But there's many other things that you need to know of, like, how do you maintain your bike? How do you dress for riding? How do you do nutrition? How do you push yourself to make yourself a better rider? How do you make a plan to become a better rider? What happens if you hit a wall when you're a rider and you get frustrated? So there's many reasons, just like you need a coach for anything. I mean, it's just to break it down and to make it a little bit more manageable. And you want to set goals and make realistic goals throughout your advancement as you become a better cyclist.
And it's such a great way to exercise. I mean, it's phenomenal way to, get your cardio work in and, really get your legs in shape. And I mean, it's just phenomenal. I find that with riding bike, you're sort of covering a lot of things at once, right?
Yes, it's a full body exercise. You have your heart, your muscles, you're working your glutes. I mean, how do we power a bike? It's through our biggest muscles of our bodies, our gluteus maximus and our quads, right? And then our core. If we're climbing up a hill, I have to bring my core in super tight to really be able to lighten up my load as I climb. So it's a really full body workout.
And so if someone's really looking to become like professional bike riders and compete and that sort of thing, that's also another reason why they may want to seriously get, with someone like you that says, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you got to do it. This is the way you need to train. This is the way you need to eat. This is
Right.
the way you need to sleep. This is the way, I mean, there's so much that goes into being a real athlete. And that's something that I think a lot of coaches, and that's why coaches are needed, right? It's like a coach and a mentor, and they're both two very different things. Let me just add that a coach and mentor are not the same thing. But being with someone like yourself, who not only can coach them but can mentor them through the process, because you've lived it, you've done it, you've experienced it, and now you're teaching it. So that's, for me, has always been key. And it's what I tell others. As soon as someone says, oh, I want to learn how to do this, I say, well, get a coach, because it's going to get you there that much faster. It's get
Yes.
there faster. I know
And
for me,
and
I
there's so
always
many things that you don't even think about.
absolutely.
When you think about trying to excel, and like when I coach my kids in mountain biking, there's so many things that I'm learning as a coach as I teach them of how to move on. I mean, today there's colleges that actually give bike scholarships.
Mm,
If you're a well-rounded cyclist, you can actually get scholarships to colleges. And so we're trying to really round up our coaching so that not only are they mountain biking, but we're getting them road cycling, and we're getting them spinning cycling, and we're doing them like velodrome cycling, right? So we're trying to make them better rounded, so that if they want to try to go for that, they have that option. And then I've never been a pro cyclist,
mm,
but I have associations with pro cyclists. So when
right.
someone really is interested, I'm like, you need to talk to Rebecca Rush. You need to talk to Katie Holden. You need to talk to Jim Rakowski, so that they can get those professional opinions, and then they can talk about who coaches them.
Yeah,
And it's just building and building and building, so that it's all about being open to access to improve ourselves, and being willing to push ourselves to get there.
Yeah. And again, it's also about, helping those our clients or whoever it is that we're serving go further faster. I mean,
Yes.
that's the point when you're, working with a coach or a mentor. That's the main reason we're doing that. So, and I love that you said that, because it's the same thing when we think, generally, right? People are like, oh, I'll just get a bike and jump on it. Well, riding a regular bike is not the same thing as jumping on a mountain bike, or, learning how to ride a 10-speed bike versus, some other kind of, I don't know the different styles. I know
They're
you.
no longer 10-speed bikes, honey. That's
Oh,
really dating yourself, my love. I gotta say. Yeah,
I
it's like 21 to 28 speed, okay?
that's
You're really dating yourself.
see, I definitely would need a bike coach. You see that? Because I'd pull out my bike from the 19 whatever, we won't say.
Yeah,
That
no,
is hilarious.
yeah.
But that's what I mean, right? It's like, what you don't know what you don't know,
You
and
don't know
that's
what
why it's
and you
super
don't even know
important.
what you don't know. Exactly.
Right?
And
Exactly.
I
And
mean,
so,
cycling is pretty amazing. The bike that we have today, the general bike with two wheels and a drivetrain, was created in 1897. And it is
wow,
such a brilliant piece of engineering that it's never changed. The components have changed. It's carbon, it's aluminum, it's this and that. And the brakes have gone from disc to from V brakes, whatever. But the basic concept of that bike, the design with the two wheels and the drivetrain, has not changed. So when you sit on that bike, it reads your mind and it goes where you look. And that is, it's, in my opinion, it's the best piece of engineering ever created in the history of time.
well, and the other part to that is that, it, it, what I love about biking, again, is that it's something just for you. It's
Mhm.
something that you have to do very personally. You have to get on the bike, you have to pedal, you
You are
have
the driver.
and and it's moving forward, right? It's like, to go backwards, you literally, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do on a bike. So you
Yeah.
are moving, constantly moving forward. What a great, what a great outlook, and symbolic of life, right? Like just being in charge and moving forward. I love that. So, with the lessons that you're giving and the way that you're, working with your clients now, where do you see it going? Like, what's next for the Bike Whisperer?
Well, I'm really, really busy. And I'm actually looking to hire additional coaches and train them
I love
under
it.
my philosophy, because my philosophy is different than other people's philosophy. I'm very specific about how I teach, and I'm very, very rigid about how I teach, because I really deeply believe in the way that I teach is right, with the head, mind, head over shoulders over hips, the amygdala, the frontal cortex, the brain's, 20% muscle, 80% brain. Um,
Yes.
and then the other cool thing is that I can take this and it can grow.
Yes.
It can be Bike Whisperer Chicago, Bike
Mhm.
Whisperer LA, Bike Whisperer. And as long as I can sort of, I don't know, I mean, I can't really patent my thoughts, but but the way that I teach is so specific. It's really, it works really amazingly. And I think it can really grow across the country.
Yeah.
And it
And
can really grow.
yep, and I think I shared this with you from the get-go. I see you licensing the Bike Whisperer. I see you creating your own products, your own
Mhm.
line, your own, apparel, your own
I
supplements.
just actually reached out to, through NICA. I have a connection with this organization that makes jerseys. And so I'm designing my own Bike Whisperer jerseys, so that I'm actually going to have my own, Bike Whisperer. and then I'm gonna have some t-shirts and some leggings and some swag, and I came out with brand new material. Can I put you on hold for 1 second? Hold
Yeah,
on.
of course. Of course. So here's what I love about working with sports coaches is that it's helping them to realize what an impact
So
they're making. Go ahead, Andre.
I worked with my husband's director who went to my website, and I created my own flyer. So
Yes.
it took the logo and everything from my website, and on the back has all of my programs. Right. So I'm marketing. This is all being thrown around the city, and
Yes.
then I have business cards. Same thing with my motto on the back.
I love it. And
Right.
remember what I told you. You also want to make sure that you create great JV opportunities for yourself in New York City because I
What is
think that joint ventures,
yes.
joint venture opportunities in New York City, I think that you have a gazillion ways that you can do this. So many different ways. And I see your bike experience tours growing. I see you building that out to not only happen in our area, but certainly throughout the US and even internationally. And it's stuff that we can absolutely talk about because through this opportunity that we're going to be creating in Spain, this is the kind of stuff we want to do. We want to create ultimate sport experiences internationally where people can go and they can experience whatever they love. In your case, it would be biking, but there's
Right.
certainly other
To
things that
have
you can
to go to
do.
Spain and have an all women's ride or have a
Yes,
couples ride, right?
absolutely.
And go ride from Barcelona to Venetia, right?
Yep.
Valencia,
Yep.
right? I mean,
Yep.
how amazing would that be? And it's like, and you sleep over a night at a B&B and
Yep. Yep. And it's so doable. It's more doable probably than you can conceive at the moment, but it's very doable. And I always like I told you when we first worked together, and I'll continue to tell you, I always want you to sort of not only dream your biggest dream, but really get out of the box and get out of your comfort zone
no, you
because
always tell me to get out of my comfort zone. You always said,
that's the
get out.
comfort
I
zone.
didn't like that.
Yes, I know.
I didn't like that. But I've totally gotten out of my comfort zone, Jess. You've made
Yes.
me do that. So
Yes.
you really pushed me. And I cried the first time you told me to do that. I did
Yes.
not like that. I'm like, no way.
I
And you have
remember.
pushed me and you have pushed me and pushed me. And I'm totally out of my comfort zone these days.
And that's a great, it's a great way for you to sort of not only build your business, but build your own life, right? For
Mhm.
us to step out of the comfort zone, because on the other side of the comfort zone, that's where all the sweet sauce is. That's where all the good stuff lies. And so, even for myself, I'm preaching to the choir here because, yes, we always have to push ourselves way past the comfort zones. And so I look forward to continue to be your biggest cheerleader. I look forward to everything that you will continue to, produce through Bike Whisperer and beyond. And I look forward to jumping on a bike with you someday. I
Yes,
need
I
to
would
come
love
and
to go riding
experience
with you.
that.
You need to come in the city and ride. Oh, maybe I'll come up to Yonkers and ride with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some beautiful trails here in Westchester County
You
as
definitely
well.
have some gorgeous yes.
Yeah, yeah.
We can go up the west side and we can go hit the, across the Tappan Zee, which is now not Tappan Zee anyway, but we could do like a nice beautiful loop.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So, how can people get in contact with you, Andre, if they want to reach out to you, if they want to take a lesson or they want to buy a package or take one of your tours? How do they get in contact with you?
So I have my website, which is bikewhisperer.nyc, www.bikewhisperer.nyc, or you can email me directly at coach@bikewhisperer.nyc, or you can text me at 917-658-9289.
Awesome. So, I am so grateful that you came on the show with me tonight. And I hope it won't be the last time. We'll definitely have to have you come on again. I mean, the conversation was just so wonderful. And I also want everyone to know that Andree, although she's in New York City, is looking to expand her programs outside of New York City. So definitely reach out to her. And if you're a coach and you're looking for, if you're, in the bike world and looking to become a coach, reach out to Andree, because she certainly can mentor you and she can help you sort of take your passion and turn it into a paycheck as well, while building her, amazing, amazing organization and helping the community or communities that you're going to be serving, because I know that this is going to continue to grow. So Andree, thank you so much. I am so, so grateful for having you on again tonight. And if you're looking to reach out to me, Jessie Rodriguez Melendez, you can find me on all of the social media sites. You can also reach out to me via email at jrmpcc@gmail.com. And for us that we're lucky up in the Northeast, it's starting to get beautiful. So I'm going to encourage you, get out, ride your bikes, get into nature, go experience all the wonderful secret spots that we enjoy here, or anywhere that you may be. And, be sure to join us next week. We're going to have another amazing show with another amazing guest. And the purpose for us doing all bases covered, it's really so that we can enlighten sports leaders and entrepreneurs out there that may be wanting to either start their own businesses and just don't know where to get started. And so every week I love to bring on, guests that we can talk about how to get yourself going, how to build, how to scale, how to continue to impact your communities, how to use what you love and turn it into actual revenue for yourself and create a real business for yourself. How do you, how do you serve? How do you package yourself? How do you price yourself? How do you create automated systems and processes? How do you build out summer camps, clinics, all kind of different programs? It's what I've been doing now for over 15 years. I absolutely love what I do. And it's mostly because I know that with every single coach that I work with and every single coach that I mentor and teach, that means that we're going out and making a bigger impact in the world. And with the world that we have been living in, we certainly need more people that are wanting to do that. And so I encourage you, if you're looking to build out any kind of sports program, I also even created a baseball homeschool. I've spoken about that in some of the other some of my other shows. And with what's happening in the school system, parents are looking for other opportunities, other alternative opportunities for their kids. And sports homeschools are definitely needed. We need more of them. So if you're a sports entrepreneur or sports leader or have a sports organization and would like to learn how to build out your own sports homeschool, reach out to me. I'd love to chat. I'd love to, sort of walk you through the process, teach you how you can do that. jrmpcc@gmail.com. We created the first ever baseball homeschool out of the Northeast in New York. And then we actually got to travel. And the beauty about that is once you build out a sports homeschool, you can actually run it from anywhere. And you can, really bring it all over the world if you needed to travel with your athletes or whatever. So anyway, this week was absolutely phenomenal. Andree, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it was my pleasure. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out Spanglish World at www.spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. And remember, make each day amazing on purpose, and remember to always stay unbeatable. I will see you all next week right here on All Bases Covered, regular time, Wednesday at 4 p.m. That's our regular scheduled time. I look forward to seeing you all then. In the meantime, go make it an amazing, amazing weekend, and I will see you all next week.